Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and delighted to have back with us Chris Salcedo. He's a veteran broadcaster and the author of a fascinating read called The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino, A New American Revolution. He's also the host of the Chris Salcedo show there on Newsmax. These guys do a great job. And he has the Salcedo Storm podcast, and he's also the executive director of the Conservative Hispanic Society. He does have a website, Chris Salcedo, that's S-A-L-C-E-D-O, chrissalcedo.com. Wow, a lot there. Hey, Chris, good to see you, friend. How are you?
Hey, Perry, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, you're the man. By the way, you guys, Chris, and all you guys there at Newsmax, thanks for what you do. You guys are doing a great job. Just really.
Well, yeah, we are needed, that's for sure. Out there, the biased left-wing media out there, it's definitely nice to have a differing perspective from time to time.
Wow. Well, thanks again. A lot to talk to you about. Of course, the big controversy is the president calling out what's happening with the Somali community there in Minnesota. Went as far as calling them garbage. This is pretty tough. What's your take on this story?
Well, I think the president was making reference to those who were defrauding the people of the United States, and I think we can call anybody who's acting in a criminal manner garbage safely, because I don't believe the United States of America, our tradition, is that we regard criminals highly. We shouldn't here in this country. So those, as it was revealed by Kristi Noem, those who perpetrated fraud upon entering our country, 50% of those who applied for visas were fraudulent visas, according to the Secretary of Homeland Security. I think that is garbage. And I do not believe in law breaking. I do not believe that our laws are there to be broken by foreign nationals. And I take a very dim view of it.
I think we got our brain on tilt on how big this scandal is. How big is this mess?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. The idea that we have been forced to deal with in this country by the left and by, I'm sorry, some people on the right who have forgotten who we are, that the idea that everybody has a right around the world to come to the United States. And that is just not true. There is no nation on planet Earth where you have a right to go there if you just want to. The United States is no different. We have the right to meter those who come into our country, to set standards for those who come into our country. And I think the number one standard ought to be, can you contribute in a positive fashion to the United States of America? And that is a fair criteria to have when looking about who you're going to invite into your nation.
Okay, just a little bit more of a background on this. The covers are being pulled off this. It's just, quite frankly, it's mind-boggling how messy this is, and it goes all the way to the governor. Does he survive this?
In a left-wing state, yes. Sadly, although I heard Mike Lindell has announced that he will be running for governor in Minnesota. Who knows? I don't know how many Minnesotans are actually up in arms about the corruption of their government. I think voter apathy in left-wing states is the reason why you have somebody like Tim Awals, who continually fails and fails and fails. I have an expression on talk radio, on my talk radio show, that nobody fails up like a liberal. And it's true. You can, in America, the left wing has this standard: the bigger the failure, the more they deserve to be in government. I think Americans in general ought to change that standard.
We're talking $1 billion. You don't think the average citizen there in Minnesota sees this?
I don't think the average citizen, I mean, look, the reason why you have this government to begin with in these left-wing states, Minnesota, California, New York, is the people have tuned out. They just assume that the government is there to steal from somebody else and give it to them. They never realize that they are the victims until it's too late. I would hope that there are still enough pro-Americans in Minnesota to look at $1 billion worth of fraud, some of it going, according to reports, to Al-Shabaab, a terrorist organization, that there's a majority in Minnesota who are still American enough to take a dim view of that. I just don't know that it's true.
Wow. So, some say that the Democrats are going to use this to troll the president, to pull him into a racist argument. Others are saying that they're going to use this as a campaign to get the Somalians to support Democrats. Both could be true, don't you think?
I think so. And I would ask those individuals, what race is Somali? As far as I know, Somalia is a country and not a very well run country by virtue of the fact that everybody wants to leave and get out.
Yeah.
So the idea, I mean, if Democrats want to say that Somalia is a race, I would love to have that discussion. It's like saying America is a race, which, by the way, Ilhan Omar over the weekend tried to make that case that President Trump and Stephen Miller, by insisting that people come here and assimilate and become American, that's somehow racist. I'd like to have that discussion.
Okay, so we'll have to see where this is going to go, but it's such an uncovering. I think it was Steve Miller that said over the weekend, this is far bigger than Watergate. This is a huge deal. Millions and millions of dollars are being squandered here. And will there be any consolation, so to speak? Will there be any follow through with this?
Well, Perry, I got to be honest. This latest scandal, how many times have we seen what Democrats have done? We can classify everything they've done to this country as bigger than Watergate. Arctic frost, way bigger than Watergate. Perpetuating this myth that Joe Biden was of sound mind and body to be president of the United States, way bigger than Watergate. President Otto Penn making decisions for the country. Nobody elected President Otto Penn, but he was making all the decisions. He or she, whoever was running that machine, right? Way bigger than Watergate. I think the American people ought to really have a look at what the Democrats have done, the harm that they've done, and there needs to be some sort of accountability.
Are we becoming immune to evil?
Yes. Sadly, we are. We're not immune to evil. We're being desensitized to evil. We have been told that calling out evil is racist. We're being told that calling out evil is somehow wrong, and that allows evil to continue to grow and fester unchecked. We have become tolerant of evil. And in some cases, in Democrat-run states, they have become supportive of evil. And I think that's another thing we ought to reverse in this country, because the United States of America's founding is one of principle that stands against evil.
Well said. So before I leave Minnesota, if this doesn't go checked, or if this goes unchecked, I mean, you're heading toward, you got a state heading to bankruptcy here, right?
A state, well, look at the federal government. Look at what we've been doing time immemorial now, the last at least 3 or 4 decades. We are over $37 trillion in debt in this country. And who was I having a debate with about this morning? I guess it must have been on the radio show. We were talking about the virtues of President Trump's emphasis of getting rid of the IRS, stopping the income tax. I'm all for that because, look, I think it's idiocy to tax something that is desirable, which is earning income. Making an honest living should be something the government should reward, not punish. And right now, with the income tax, our government punishes those who succeed, and I think it's wrong.
Yeah. I want to come to your book and a lot of your passion behind all of this, the rise of liberty-loving Latinos. The border has been shut down. By the way, there's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen there. Check it out. As we all know, the border is shut down, and they're following up on all this. But at the end of the day, how would you describe the Latino community in America today?
I would describe it like I would the American community. There is debate inside the Latino community the same way in the American community writ large. You have your loudmouth leftist Latinos who are in constant conflict with liberty-loving Latinos like me. You've got a conservative like me constantly butting heads with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is someone who wants nothing but destruction for our nation, destruction of the U.S. Constitution, and the protections it affords us. The Latino community is very much in a process. Now, CNN and MSNBS and all the other left-wing media operations out there would like you to think it's all settled, that Latinos all think one way, that blacks all think one way, and whites all think one way. It's not true. It's not true. There is a debate that needs to be had, and there is a robust one, in particular in the Latino community right now.
So is it divided? Is it dividing, or is it uniting?
Well, it just is. There is a debate about what level of interference the government should be allowed to have in our lives. And it's not one that is confined to the United States of America or the Latino community, the Black community, the white community, Asians. It is something that mankind has been forced to grapple with, and sadly, the conservatives worldwide are losing this battle because of totalitarianism being welcomed in and implemented by those on the left. Praise God, there's going to be a resurgence in those who don't kneel before government, but kneel before God only, and retain the ability to chart their course forward as men and women of good conscience, consistent with the American tradition. Hopefully that's going to make a resurgence here. And if President Trump has his say, he will.
How has sanctuary cities fueled this problem?
Well, sanctuary cities, states, jurisdictions. I think it's fair for us to examine what exactly are these states and jurisdictions. They are individuals who look at federal law and say, oh, it's just a suggestion. Right? How many of us can look at Obamacare and say, well, you know what? I'm just not going to obey Obamacare today. Oh, you see those gun restrictions being passed by these left-wing zealots? I'm not going to adhere to them today. What sanctuary policies are, folks, are an abdication, an abandonment of adherence to the rule of law, which is a stabilizing force in a nation of laws known as the United States. It should not be allowed. It should be punished. California should be punished for what they have done. Sanctuary cities should be punished for what they have done. If it is unacceptable for American citizens to break the law, it should be even more unacceptable and punished even more severely for governments breaking our law.
Well, that's well said. So I guess the question is, and by the way, here in Oregon, we're the oldest and longest sanctuary state. And our governor here is pretty remarkable in enforcing some of this. But the question being, you just brought it up, Chris, is can the Fed step in over a state? This would be, I guess, a 10th Amendment issue, but can the federal government step in over a state based upon what you just said, that they're giving lawless passes to illegal immigrants over the top of law-abiding citizens?
I will cite for you a case out of Arizona that happened some years back. Remember SB 1070, Barry? SB 1070 was Arizona's attempt. All they did was Xerox copy federal immigration law and said, we will enforce that in the state of Arizona. The United States Supreme Court said no. They overruled that, struck it down as unconstitutional. Why? Because they said the federal government, through precedent, through judicial rulings, and through the Constitution, has complete unilateral control over immigration. Who comes in and who doesn't. That is the exclusive purview of the federal government. So, if it works in the negative toward those who are trying to stand up for law and order, it should also work in the positive to those who are in the states standing up for lawlessness, which Oregon does, which California does, which the state of Washington does, Illinois, New York. If we had a federal government that was dedicated to enforcing the law as the federal government was in stopping the states from doing it themselves, then yes, by your description in your question, the federal government has every right to clamp down on Oregon and say, you are in violation of U.S. law, you are violating federal law, and the Supremacy Clause is quite clear. And if you don't stop, there will be severe punishments for the state of Oregon. That should be happening with an America First administration like the Trump administration.
Yeah, instead we have a governor who's threatening to have the local police agency arrest federal ICE agents. It hasn't happened. We're waiting to see if it will. I can't even imagine.
I would dare him to try. I would dare him to try.
I just can't even imagine a police officer, a well-respected police officer, would take that order and follow through with it.
He wouldn't. Most people of good conscience would not. And again, the reason why your governor is cowardly and won't implement that is because he knows he would be inviting increased scrutiny. Yeah. He knows he would be inviting a strong response from the centralized federal government of President Trump, and it's not. And he's a coward, and he won't do it.
One other quick question.
Not the president, your governor.
Governor, yeah, thank you. Okay. One other quick Question, Chris, before I take a break, and that is, we have these rogue district judges, federal district judges, doing these injunctions, who's protecting these sanctuary cities and state, even after the Supreme Court has told them to keep their nose out of national business. There doesn't seem to be any consequence for their violation. What do you think of that?
That is a mechanism of your member of Congress, folks. If you don't like the fact that we have these rogue judges who are out there with impunity doing these lawless actions from the bench, legislating from the bench, there is a mechanism the Constitution gave us to remedy rogue judges, and it's called the Congress of the United States. And I would say that the Republicans who are in charge right now are doing a sorrowful, disgraceful job of adhering to and living up to the charge they've been given in the U.S. Constitution to be that vital check against a rogue judiciary.
Yeah, pretty bad. All right, let me take a quick break. Check out Chris's book, The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino, an New American Revolution. There's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen. He does have a website, chrissalcedo.com. Where can they get the book, Chris?
You can right now, as we're speaking right now, you jump on Amazon and you pre-order it, and you're going to save some money. Tomorrow, the book drops. That means the discount goes away, and then you're just going to order it outright. I would save the money and order today.
All right.
So you can save a couple of bucks, and it'd make a great stocking stuffer for the Liberty lover in your life.
Hey, God bless you. By the way, congratulations. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. What an honor to have back with us today, Chris Salcedo. He's one of the great guys there on Newsmax, his show. He's authored a book called The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino. And by the way, we found out today is the day to go online there at Amazon and order. You can get a pre-order discount. Tomorrow it officially goes on sale. So congratulations, Chris, for your work. He does have a website, chrissalcedo.com, and there's a picture of his landing page. Chris, I was trying to figure out how to ask this question, so give me a little space here if I don't ask it correctly.
Sure.
We know that our immigration laws have been lax, and then all of a sudden we want to enforce them, and we're doing all this, and it's the right thing to do. I understand the term illegal. Because of the laxness, we have some Latinos in our country that are working hard, but they're not legal. How can we vet them?
We can vet them by, let's say, how do I put this? Give me a little space, Barry, here, because I think we've got to go back to saying definitively illegal immigration is wrong, illegal immigration is immoral,
right,
and illegal immigration is bad for any nation forced to endure it by its political class.
Right.
Both Republicans and Democrats, if anybody hears something I'm saying today, understand this. Republicans and Democrats have colluded together in Washington, D.C. to impose illegal immigration on you. President Trump has proven we don't have to tolerate illegal immigration.
Right.
This has been something that has been foisted, has been allowed by your government against your will for the better part of a half century now. So let's be honest. So now, what we have got to do is insist that as a mechanism of our elected officials remaining our elected officials, they must be told, it must be made plain to them that you will create laws that make it impossible for any illegal alien to survive in America. You must pass laws that restrict, let's say, for example, illegal aliens right now. You come into America, you break into America, you can get a bank account, you can rent a house, you can buy a house, you can own property. You can, the welcome mat is rolled out for you. Once you get in, pretty much the world is your oyster. We must reverse that. As I'm going to paraphrase Benjamin Franklin, criminals cannot be made easy in their illegality.
Right.
So that must be our impetus. That must be our focus. Now, when that is our focus, illegal aliens will have a choice. They can either get right with the law, come in a legal fashion, and that's how we vet them, Perry. That's how we make sure that they're here, keeping their nose clean, and they want to be Americans. We mentioned in our first conversation, in our the first segment here, that Ilhan Omar believes that being an American is somehow white supremacist. That the idea that you be an American is white supremacist. That's absolutely bat guano crazy.
Right.
And we should say that as a people. America is a just and a noble country with a great culture, and we should be proud of it. And if you want to join that American culture, great. The welcome mat is open so long as you want to come through the front door.
So, what about a work program?
Like a Bracero program, is that what you're thinking, Perry?
Right. Because there's industries, if we don't have these workers, agriculture could really suffer.
It could, but again, you got to ask yourself why. Have we set up in our culture that the idea of manual labor is to be looked down upon? Have we set up an agricultural atmosphere to where, hey, you know what, guys who look like Chris Salcedo, we can pay them dirt wages, we can pay them poorly, and that way we can keep our costs down to the American citizens. So, are we as Americans saying, hey, you know what, we want to make it acceptable? And this is the Democrat position, by the way. We want to make it acceptable to pay guys who look like Chris Salcedo, maybe the Latino surname. We want to pay them less in dirt wages, no benefits, so that everybody else in America can have it better. I don't think, as a measure of fairness, as a measure of American fairness, that's the way to go. I believe that there are jobs, as George W. Bush said, that Americans won't do. But see, I'll take it a next step further. There are jobs that Americans won't do with the current wage being offered. Maybe we need to do a little bit of a reset with the agricultural community and other industries, saying, hey, you know what, maybe you should start paying a fair wage, and that will attract Americans to come in.
No, I get that. I'm just trying to ask all the questions here, because what's coming out of this, which probably is the answer, is innovation in the agricultural world. We're developing machinery now that does the work of humans, and that's happening real fast. But I'm just wondering, in the interim, and I guess it is a wage thing, but moreover is the fact that they're willing to do the work. And I realize in the past that's created a lot of problems. But I guess what you're saying is, if you're illegal here, no matter how long you've been here, if you're illegally here, you go back and start over with the process, or do we find a way to get them in the process now?
Well, you can definitely. President Trump has turned off the spigot, so we have no more millions and millions and millions of illegal aliens coming into the country. Right. We must. There's going to be a case coming up before the Supreme Court, which will be argued, I believe, in the spring and decided in the summer, about birthright citizenship. Right. Do we convey citizenship status to somebody who was born of an illegal alien here, who was here by breaking our laws? Do we understand the nature of the 14th Amendment as part of the slave amendments? It was never meant to benefit illegal aliens. Nothing good, Perry, comes from a nation that breaks its own laws, and we're dealing with that right now.
Yeah, right.
We've got to start enforcing our laws, because that's the stability that made America great.
All right, before I run out of time, is there a shift among Latinos? I know that they're tremendously faith-based, most of them are. They have a great family ethic. In your research, are they turning to the right?
Well, in the election, it's definitely true. Now, I will say this: as President Trump has undertaken his law enforcement, refocused on law enforcement, in particular with the illegal immigrant population, you have the biased press out there warping it and condemning it in the worst possible manner. The president has seen an erosion of support in the Latino community because some people are buying the propaganda. Some people are accepting the idea that illegal aliens have a right to be in our country. And might I say, Perry, no illegal alien has the right to be in America. I'm sorry. I will have words with any left-winger out there who claims they have a right to be here. They do not. So there is a slight erosion. But by and large, the Democrats have set up their party in this way: pro-socialist, anti-science, pro-deviancy, pro-communism, pro-totalitarianism. And a lot of Latinos are looking at that saying, I don't want to go down that road. So they're open right now to hearing what the Republicans have to say. And that's the cautionary tale.
Right.
Republican, you better have something that's American and that can appeal to these individuals, someplace for them to go. And that's why the America First coalition set up by Trump is really the template that the Republicans should adopt.
Fascinating. All right, folks, check out Chris's book. It's available at a discount on a pre-launch. Today's the last day, The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino. There's a picture of the cover of the book, and you can go on Amazon and check that out. Check out his podcast and check out his website, chrissalcedo.com. Always an honor to have you, friend. Look forward to more visits. Stay in the fight, buddy.
Right back at you. You too, sir.
All right, God bless you.